Some people deserve to be broke by Asmongold Clips. We're gonna look at that. I would agree with that. If you make bad decisions and you end up being broke and struggling, that is on you. Yeah, I would agree on that. Let's see if that is the case here. Also, please consider liking and subscribing. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Every little bit of support matters. Thank you. And yeah, we're going in.
This is another girl that used to be really pretty. She's used to having every guy agree with everything that she says. Now that she's older, people aren't willing to do that anymore. She's on financial audit.
I was a 911 dispatcher.
Huh?
I was a 911 dispatcher. I'm actively applying for other departments.
Why aren't they accepting you into these positions?
I may have caused some waves when I left my
Oh, for f***'s sake, what the f*** did you do?
spoke more directly than everybody else.
I literally have your notes word for word. That America is a racist and misogynist country. How are we misogynist at this point?
See, here's a hot take. This whole bullshit, right? Including Me Too, back in the day. Well, it's not that long ago, but still. The results of that is that if you speak like that, people will be afraid to hire you because you will cause more problems. You will cause more problems than they are willing to put up with. If they see, I can imagine that if they see this, they're like, nope, instantly nope. Like they're like, nah, bro, I'm not gonna deal with that, right? I'm not gonna right, nose ring, by the way. Well, not the classic nose ring, but still a nose ring piercing, Back to it. I wouldn't put up with that either, right? Not only are you a danger to yourself, like to yourself, you're also a danger to others. Because if you cannot, especially as a 911 dispatcher, I feel like if you have that little self-control, right, and you crash out like that, you might get into troublesome situations. Anyway, it's very interesting. Lack of impulse control, mind you. I would classify that as lack of impulse control. Another thing is that, right, you might also be a problem to your colleagues, because, like, who wants to as a colleague, like, would you want to put up with this? If this was your colleague, would you want to put up with this? Probably not, I'm assuming, right? I wouldn't assume so. I wouldn't think so, right? Neither would I. And as a boss, I'm like, nah, bro, she will cause more problems than she's actually gonna be a help. Anyway.
We're built on a patriarchy.
At this point, we can always look back. We're talking today. How are we misogynist specifically today?
Hot take, actually. I don't believe in the patriarchy bullshit. I would argue that we live in a not patriarch dominator society where the people in power usually tend to oppress people that are not in power, right? This is right, and by the way, this is a system that will always persist, right? That will always exist, right? Well, not oppress, but they will have more power. Having more power doesn't mean you oppress others, but it does mean you have more power, and you obviously, in most cases, will use it, right? If she was in power, right? If society was ran by women, we'd probably be in the same situation, or worse. Yeah, probably worse, right? I'd say actually worse because of look what suicidal empathy does to society. Look at the West. Anyway. But yeah. I wouldn't want to put up with that.
Misogyny is built into everything.
Like,
I'm literally being pushed to hire women at this company. When in content,
Why?
typically men work disproportionately more on the video editing side. I'm being pushed to hire a less qualified person because they're a woman, just so we can have more women here. I am being pushed.
think about if Caleb is feeling this, imagine what every single video game studio is feeling.
Where's the misogyny? You want me to hire a less qualified person because they're a woman?
No.
Then where's the misogyny?
I would actually say that is misogynistic. Because I'm not hiring you because you are great in what you're doing. I'm hiring you because I need to, right? I'm hiring you to fulfill a quota. And I think that's actually right. Because it creates an environment where every time you see a woman into a decently high position, you're gonna call into question if she's here because she's great at what she's doing, or if she's here because she has to be here. I feel actually that's the reverse of, right? It's not like pro woman, it's actually the opposite, right? You're not giving women the root, like the opportunity to compete, right? You're just putting them there because and they have no other choice, right? And you have no other choice, right? So actually I would say this is the opposite of right? This is the opposite of, like, right? I would say this is, instead of empowering, it's actually misogynistic. Moving on.
Elected office. Women make up 50% of the population, but only hold like 30%
Get more.
Yeah, but that's also because they're also not choosing these. I mean, you can also, right? Look at Sweden. Look at Scandinavia, right? Sweden is a good example. They are the closest to equality of outcome, equality of opportunity, not outcome. Equality of outcomes, horseshit. Yet they couldn't be more different. They're actually more different than before they tried this, right? Men went even more into industrial fields. Women went into social fields. There is a harsh reality in that we're built different, that we're hardwired for different things. Men are more in politics because they're more into politics. Women just aren't as much. And you could always tell that oftentimes a lot of the women that are into politics usually got their fair dose of testosterone as women, right? The, I would assume. I would honestly assume that that's the case.
Run for office.
That's
It's not misogynistic.
Then have a woman run for office, yeah.
They
I
wanted to
know
represent
a
them.
lot of people who don't vote for women because they're women.
How many women do you think voted for Hillary Clinton because she was
Because she was a woman. See, here's something interesting. Right, here's something interesting. Yeah, probably people in the comments are like, oh, he stops every few seconds, he yaps every few seconds. But this is actually relevant. The recent case with the woman who took the lives of her 3 children, right? You have women supporting her simply on the basis that she is a woman. Which leads me to also to believe, I'll take, they would have supported Hitler if he was a woman.
a woman. They think that this is one directional.
They didn't lose because they were women. You are going to find women literally online on TikTok just as much as those people who will not vote for men because men are evil.
That's right.
I will equally
That's
find
fucking
that.
right.
What is it, please? Okay, get your point. Get your point.
So very specifically, there's an Amazon warehouse
Yeah, like the oh, don't make me agree with a man.
and I just saw a Walmart one right next to it the other day.
Crazy.
Oh my god.
Built off of a 2-lane road, but that traffic now,
Okay, actually,
it should
no,
be
pause for a
Amazon's
second.
responsibility. That 2-lane road wouldn't be a problem if Amazon wasn't there.
This is actually
It's-
impressive. I've never witnessed someone so far left that they're actually advocating for degrowth policies. I've never seen someone sit and in real life
Somebody
advocate.
is so left wing that they think that the companies should own the roads. That to me, that's not even horse.
I don't know where she is. You're so left, you make right-wing policies? What?
Shoe theory. That's just a fucking circle.
It really
Warehouse?
affect-
Why is it the warehouse's
Whatever.
responsibility?
Whatever. Because
It's the
there's
city or the
no,
state.
they're building in. They should have some sort of responsibility in
They
it.
pay taxes, property taxes,
Exactly.
which those warehouses certainly do.
Isn't it crazy how people are discovering taxes just through logical deduction?
There is something to be said that a lot of people aren't just broke because they have an income problem, but there's also a lot of people that are broke because they have a spending problem. Right? They have a spending problem. They don't know how to save. They don't know how to make their life they don't want to give up a certain lifestyle. People are like, "Oh, that Starbucks coffee doesn't make much of a difference." Yeah, but if you get it if you get a Starbucks coffee five times a week, look at how expensive they are. That does make a difference, right? Though I'm technically right. If you want to get a coffee every single day, I would advocate actually for locals, right? I would advocate for local bakeries, local cafes, whatever, not for Starbucks. Regardless, different point. But yeah, there is something to be said. And then also, right, the amount of if I got a nickel every single time I caught a YouTuber getting absolutely booty fucked by the German government because they don't pay their taxes. I'd get like 100 nickels or something because yeah, people discover taxes. Very funny.
Now we're arriving at what are taxes. Oh, I get it.
It's your city's fault for not allocating the resources properly. Advocate for that. Girl, there's lots of things I can complain about Amazon for. Some of the working conditions with heat, that shit was bad.
I'm not saying they should be fully responsible, but they should.
They're paying taxes. They're paying taxes for that infrastructure. If the city decides to not upgrade it, that's on the city.
Yes.
Vote for someone different.
It's so crazy that something this obvious is just IRS actually explained to her that she owes hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're on financial audit because they don't even understand taxes. That's actually a really good point. I mean, you are kind of shooting fish in a barrel here. You're going on financial audit and expecting people to understand a tax system.
A lot of people do not realize that it's actually not, right? Not on the companies and the billionaires, right? We need to tax them more. So we can help people out, we can make society better. That might be true to a degree, right? But most of the time it's on the government, and the government oftentimes misuses the taxes that they receive for complete bullshit. The amount of things, infrastructure that has been built in my country that is completely useless because it was misused. We literally built like an entire area along a river, and that area is now flooded and can no longer go down. We literally built an entire way you can walk and stairs that are underwater now. See how that goes? And they didn't expect that, even though people told them, yeah, by the way, this area could flood, and so it did. Anyway, or government, like they started building a airport that will never be finished, a subway area, tunnels that will never be finished, right? All paid by tax money. Yes, it might be true that some rich people aren't paying their fair share of taxes because they find loopholes. Fair. But you can't tell me that the governments, everywhere to be fair, aren't misusing the taxes that we pay. You can't tell me that. That simple.
Like, you don't even understand your own fucking books. So yeah, no, you're right. That's maybe I'm being unreasonable here.
Maybe he is, but I'm sure he's not. Yeah, it all comes down to people not understanding the system. To be fair, this is a whole different issue. I think this is an education issue. The fact that in just recent years we've got economy as a subject in schools, right, is questionable. And yeah, now you could say, well, people could be like responsible and search out the self, understand themselves. Well, nobody's teach like they don't, right? If you believe people seek out knowledge on their own, you're a fucking idiot. You're a fucking idiot. Yeah, do they kind of deserve to be, financially fucked? Kinda, right? They have the option to educate themselves, right? But let's be fair, most people don't do that. And to be fair, I'm not doing that. You're not doing that. We just know it, right? We just know. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.